Welcome to The Beat, where curiosity stirs conversations, taking us a step further into the future we desire. Here we bring you the issues that matter, the voices that challenge, and the insights that inspire. I'm Sunas Nathaniel. We have a very important topic to explore on this episode. But before we get into that conversation, let us bring you a spotlight. We'll be right back. Don't go away. In our spotlight today, we have the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, attending the Global Leadership Council meeting, where he assured that Nigeria is poised to leverage opportunities in the digital space as to engage youths and empower women and girls. The Global Leadership Council meeting, which held at the UNICEF headquarters, brought together CEOs, heads of UN agencies, civil society champions, and young people to analyze how to co-create and deliver innovative solutions on a global scale.
For the government, our job is much easier. Provide the policy frameworks and the infrastructure needed. For the private sector, that to provide the capital, the innovations, and the market linkages. And for the youth, we need their entrepreneurial drive, their creativity, their digital fluency, and lo and behold, opportunities abound in the digital space. That will be a win-win situation for the African continent. As I said, the whole world is Asian. The Asian tigers are Asian. I feel very old. I'm just 59. But in the midst of Nigerian youth, you see them call me Baba. Baba is father. You know, I tend to feel in Baba. This is why I will try and get a dye and blacken my eyebrows. So tomorrow is pregnant with possibilities. I can assure you all that Africa will rise, and it's already rising. And honestly, we have no business being poor, honestly.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is The Beam. Today is a very special episode of the program as Nigeria marks 65 years of independence. But celebration must be balanced with interrogation and conquest to ensure that this nation is well balanced. So we're asking the question, how does a nation move from being a symbol to substance? How does it move from image to identity? How do we rebrand, reform, and reposition the nation? My guest is someone who has spent his career at the intersection of communication, strategy, and nation building. Ademuyiwa Adebola Taofik, seasoned strategic communication professional, digital literacy advocate, and CEO of Inspire Solutions and Inspire Academy, a digital literary advocate who has trained more than 1,500 young people in digital communications. Mr. Ademuyiwa, you're welcome to The Beam.
Thank you, Mr. Sunest.
Yes, it's very important that we brought you for this session when it comes to rebranding this nation at 65. And then let me ask you that brand question. What will be Nigerians' brand today in pain terms? What will it be?
So I'll say, amidst every other thing, I'll say transformation in action. We've been able to dump the negative behind us. And today, let's look at the good things that we are experiencing as a country right now. We have about 5 unicorns out of 8 unicorns in Africa, which means that our young people are driving change, which means that we can also do more. We are seeing Nigerian artists shutting down stadiums with Afrobeats around the world. And for me, this is the beginning of good things to come for Nigeria. And I'm so proud that we are here today.
Okay, so it's beautiful that you've brought in the youth population and everything. And one of the problems which the youth have been having has been this breach in communications. So, as somebody who's an expert, where do you see that, that communication gap between the youth, the government, and the society in general? Where's that communication gap coming in as a problem?
So I feel the strategists, the communication experts of the government, I think what they do most importantly, most times is they do a fire brigade approach. They don't use the proactive strategies to ensure that these communications are broken down for every demography. For example, if you want to launch a policy, say 3 months' time, you have to be talking about the policies now. Because Nigerians are not fools. Nigeria understand. Nigeria, this is a very big country with a lot of brilliant people. So if you look them in the eyes and tell them, this is why we are doing this thing is paining you, we want to fix it. But if you come just 3 months and you just launch it on them, then there will be pushbacks, and you think those pushbacks are because they don't like the country. No, it's because you are not strategic enough to be proactive in your communication policy.
So the strategy has to be ahead of time. Bring people in, make sure that they're carried along.
Yes.
Now let's go back to that youth. You know, you've trained a lot of youths, thousands of them, right? How do we channel that youth budge to become something that becomes a real advantage for the nation? Because according to statistics, the more we grow, the more problems it might turn out to if we don't strategically position it.
I don't know if you've heard from people globally, they're saying Nigerian talents are the best. Nigerian talents are resilient, Nigerian talents are patient, they are innovative, and they are forward-thinking. So for me, now that we know we have the talent, I'll borrow from the words of Yola Boyeji, the founder of Adela, and of course Flutterwave. He said something that of course is very important, that Nigerian young people of this country, they need infrastructure. It is not just about training. When they now have the skills, do they have infrastructure to practice, to show that they can do these things? You understand? So he said something that is quite catchy too. He said, in Nigeria today, we don't have a facility that can host about 3,000 young people with free internet and power supply so that they could create, innovate, and change the landscape, as it were. So for me, I want to think that is our problem. Nigerian youths have the platforms from the government agency, from private CSR and whatnot. They train them every day. So this is what I've also experienced. We've seen situations where we train people and they just feel like, oh, I have this idea, but sir, I need startup capital. So apart from infrastructure, the young people of this country, they need access to capital to start off something. Because as it is now, SME is a driving force in the economy. We have about 89, according to SMEDA, we have about 70 to 89 million small businesses. And guess what? They fail within the 3 years of starting the business. So if they have access to capital, there's infrastructure, the government creates a level playground for everybody, I think we'll have a better Nigeria and the brand will be big and huge for our country.
Wow, that's well said. I mean, let's go back now to your roots, communications, rebranding. We're talking rebranding as 65. We're talking repositioning. We're talking reformation. How do we tie this? I mean, a nation cannot rebrand without reforming its institutions per se, right? How do you see this playing out? In the light of this nation, I mean, the president saying all hands on deck and all that, how do you see that play out?
So for me, the president has done well. He's been marketing the country through its own reforms, right? So I want to agree with everybody who says that you cannot really rebrand a country without reforming institutions. Because if you look at the models, the likes of South Korea, the likes of Rwanda, the likes of Japan have taken, you will see that they were very, very conscious of the fact that these institutions are the platforms where we can show what we can do. So let's rebrand institutions. Let's reform institutions rather. So when you reform institutions, the stories, the success stories that you have there, you sell it to the world. The world accepts you as you are and they want to come invest. You understand? So for us as a country, what we must do is so that it doesn't look like it's cosmetic, is to first of all reform our institutions, the institutions that we know that can drive growth, like the oil and gas sector. What we are seeing now with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the oil and gas sector is everywhere saying Nigeria is now open to business because we have removed fuel subsidy, we've removed the dollar arbitrage and whatnot. That is how you build a nation that wants to have a very good brand in the global stage.
So, I mean, beyond PR, beyond PR, you know, that strategic communication, how do you see it? I mean, how do you think it should start playing out? I mean, I want you to give us, you know, like a masterclass of how you think that this should play out within the few years now.
So, realistically, if you want to look at the way we play our game in Nigeria, especially in the governance and the policy space, you would see that a whole lot of policymakers, executive members, they appoint media heads, but they don't get to hire PR strategists that help them break down their comm strategy in such a way that every demography would understand. I'll give you an example. My son, he doesn't know about Shango, he doesn't know about Oya, but he knows about the superhero called Captain America. You understand? Those things are deliberate. They want people to love their country from age 5, 4, 6 and thereabout. So what we can do as a people, let's vote for people that understands how to pass the right messaging. So people should not say, oh, because he has spent 10 years in journalism. No, you can spend 10 years in journalism and you don't understand the ethics of PR. You don't understand how strategic communication works. So I believe the 774 local government chairpersons should always look out for PR strategies to employ, to help them communicate effectively.
From the grassroots.
From the grassroots. Then you do that with all the ministries. So even if we are facing just 3 economies, Mr. Sunest, we are sure that every policy that we are trying to make to better the lives of Nigerians are very, very good, and they are communicated effectively, and people understand, so they begin to own these policies and they are proud of their country.
Where does digital literacy come into all that we have been discussing when it comes to the future of this nation, the rebranding of it, and the repositioning in the community of nation? Where does digital literacy, looking at the age in which we are now, where does it come into play?
So digital literacy in this sphere helps you to ask the right questions. Because if you don't know how to use the internet, for example, how would you know your money is being embezzled? If you are not in tune with or being digital savvy or whatnot, you don't even know how to ask questions, you don't even know the budget allocations, you don't even know, some don't even know their local government chairpersons. You don't need to walk straight to his office by even chatting him up on Twitter, asking the right question. Sir, look at it. We've seen a whole lot happen in our digital space where people will just snap the picture of a pothole and they just post it. So being part of this digital revolution means that you are ready to ask the right questions. It means you are ready to hold the government to account. So digital literacy actually also helps in ensuring there's this independence of expressing your opinion. It helps you also make money online. Guess what? Our content creators, they are making a lot of money. If you don't follow the right path to be digitally literate, you would not ask the right questions. You would not follow your counterpart around the world and make money online. We have freelancers from Nigeria. I'll give you an example, my brother. By just knowing how to use the phone, you are one step from your dreams. You see, for example, the world at large, they like our accents. They like when we speak on this call center gig, the gig economy. If you want to be part of the gig economy, you have to learn how to use the phone. You have to learn how to be on the internet. You understand, with your laptops, with your mobile devices. The opportunities abound when it comes to digital literacy is enormous. We can't even exhaust it here. So we need to ensure that any government that wants to put up their manifesto to us, we need to ensure that they have plans to, of course, absorb the people who are at the bottom of the chain to be digital literate. I
like the way you say it. So let's bring it back to the content creators. I like when you mentioned that. You see, the content creators are supposed to play a major role when it comes to the selling of the story.
I agree with you.
But what we see in the nation today, are you okay with the kind of content that we are creating? Because it seems like we're almost creating the same kind of things just to make money, per se.
So I feel the government has to step in. Not to regulate or not to pursue them up and down, but we need to find a way to create a framework that works for all of them, so that you know some people don't even know what to do and what not to do on the internet. Do you understand? Creating content doesn't mean you should misinform the public. Creating content should actually help you as a person to do your bit to help the country. Do you understand? I've never been to some of the Western countries, but because of their content creators, I've seen how beautiful they are. Yeah. Guess what? There are so many crises in some parts of the world, and Nigerians want to visit, Africans want to visit. It's because the content creators are not showing the negative part. You understand? So if you think the negative content that you are creating are helping you make money, try the positive ones.
Exactly.
And see yourself own this country, see yourself as a major stakeholder in building this country. Right. You will see that when you start creating beautiful content. I give you a very good example is this cyclist guy in Lagos. He goes around. It's not as if we don't have places we are not really proud of in Lagos as a country. But I've never seen him portray Nigeria in that light or Lagos in that light. These are examples of how we can build a nation, rebrand this country with the mobile phones, with our mobile gadgets. You understand? Right. This, for me, are where the content creators have a role to play.
All right. You're watching The Beam, where the old is reckoned with, the future is interrogated, and power is held to purpose. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Don't go away. right, welcome back. This is The Beam, where you're still here in conversation with the seasoned communications expert, Mr. Ademuyiwa Taofeek, and we're talking Nigeria 65 and the way to rebound the nation with all hands on deck. Let's continue that conversation. If you had one urgent reform to recommend to the government today, what would that be?
I won't even blink my eye. Civil service, my brother. The civil service need that reform that we've been yearning for. Because no matter how beautiful your ideas are, if you bring the Prophet Sallallahu to this country, you bring Jesus, Prophet Jesus to this country to come and govern, it will still need to rely on the civil servants. Guess what? They are the ones who ensure the right files get to the right place. The bureaucracy that builds this country is lying on their shoulder. You understand? So I feel like if we are able to let them own this country, let them see that, yes, it's been rough, it's been tough, but we need you civil servants to do the right thing. When there's allocation for a particular project, if the minister asks you to go supervise it, make sure the road, the thickness of the road is the same that has been written. So it goes on and on in all sectors. That's why you see that some people don't believe in the country, because once you say you want to roll out a particular policy, who do you need to execute them? The civil servants. And this is not even me discouraging them that they are not doing well for our country, but they can do better. They are the teachers, they are our doctors, of course they are our frontliners, the firefighters and whatnot. I believe that there's this old saying that says, if Andrew doing work, Nigeria go better.
It's good you say that. Now, one of those major questions, you always prompt the questions from some of your answers, talking about, if you're going to do the road, whatever has been written is what we come here, to say that we have done, and it has to be shown there, right? Now, if is our image problem just corruption, leadership, and failure, or is it a deeper cultural problem? Is it just corruption, failure, and all the rest, or does it go deeper into a cultural system?
Okay. So for me, it's a bit of all of this, but I would like to dwell more on the cultural issue. So it's a case of normalized pessimism. So what do I mean? So Pastor Kojo Imade said something recently. He said it seems that young people of this country are wired to hate the country. Guess what? It's our identity we carry everywhere. With my accent, I'm a Yoruba man. With my accent in America, I'm a Nigerian. You understand? So you need to love this country. So from age 5, 6, 7, I mentioned the superhero narrative the other time. We can start catching them young. Because as it is now, there are some people, I don't know, maybe because of political gains, I don't know why, they leave politics and face the things that they feel divides us as a country. So they make some young people hate this country. They don't believe in the country, both at home and in diaspora. But guess what? America, the Western world, France, Germany, and all of these countries, their citizens put their country first. So it's until we put our country first, because guess what? It's the citizens that become the politicians. So it solves the two subjects you mentioned before, social-cultural problem. Yeah. So if you look at the social-cultural problem, catching them from young, catching them when they are very vulnerable, when we feel like they like the truth, you understand? Catching them, telling them what they are supposed to know about this country, historical perspective, looking at the people who have succeeded bearing or carrying the image of this country, the rulers of this world, the Professor Wole Soyinka of this world. You tell them from small that, come, if you want to talk about Nobel laureates elsewhere, you can, but at least know that somebody from Nigeria was once awarded the prestigious award. So for me, it's a social-cultural problem. We need to ensure that from the young and tender age, Nigerians love Nigeria. They want to do anything for Nigeria. Lastly, I want to talk about what we can do for our country with telling the right stories. You look at the likes of Colonel Ali some years ago that was killed in
Baga, the one who liberated Baga. Yes.
Yes. The soldiers that fought behind this colonel, they said something. Most of them, they said, he leads from the front. That's our own superhero. We can create series, Netflix series. Like, the world is now watching us. Nollywood is one of the biggest movie industry in the world. We can create series that lionizes people like him, that lionize someone like him. You understand? So, and in all sectors, we have the Dangote of this world rewriting the entrepreneurial story of Africa. He's been the #1 richest man in Africa for a long time now, and it's not stopping any moment from now. So for me, I believe that is the way to go. You understand? From small,
It's inspiring. I mean, just before I actually want to, just two more questions perhaps, so that we can wrap it up. The next question for me is going to be, the president is saying, hey, at this stage in our history, all hands must be on deck. One of those narratives that's been sold right now is that most of the times the people continue to point the fingers on their leaders and those in politics and in power. The question then becomes, do you think the people need to take much more responsibility for what goes on in this country? Or are you saying, hey, yeah, it's fair enough that they are pointing, but maybe they should just look back and say, hey, if we do better, maybe those guys will do better?
Yes, I agree with you. And if you look at it from, let me use this context to explain what I want to say. My estate right now, we're supposed to have an election. My estate, it got just 1,000 buildings here in Abuja. We're supposed to have an election, but guess what? They've scattered it. Ballot paper leaked before the elections.
In just an estate election?
In just an estate election. Because guess what? In our WhatsApp group, on our WhatsApp group, we have people with different opinions about how the country should be, how they can do better than the person in power or the people that had led us before now. But if you don't pay attention to events like that, you begin to probably bear the wrong card. You understand? It is the people that moves from being citizens to being the leaders, ordinary citizens to be the leaders. You understand? So for me, I believe the citizens have a lot to do, because guess what? Some of our leaders are elite. A lot of us that are being led, most of us are we are the masses. So if we don't take charge of how our polity should be, because at the end of the day, if they eat up the polity, they need us to eat up the polity. They need us for electionary process. They need us to vote them in. So if we organize ourselves, ask the right questions. Okay, for example, let's use this tax bills reform as a classical example. People don't even know that this is pro-masses. These particular bills, these bills are pro-masses. You understand? They don't know. But if they get to know, they've been empowered, they've been informed, they can now ask the right questions. You understand? Is by CEO paying, by the taxes deducting from me? The taxes, where are they going to? If they build the roads, most of the elites don't even use the roads. If they build the roads well, it is us, the masses, that use it. Do you understand? So I feel like the bulk of it stops on the citizens' table. We need to organize ourselves, learn, unlearn, and relearn.
All right. Before I let you go in just a minute, if the government called you today and said, fix Nigeria, what's one bold step you would like to take?
To fix Nigeria as a brand, storytelling. Storytelling. We need to tell our story so we don't allow agenda pushers to tell our stories. Africa is a great continent, and Nigeria is going to be greater than what we have now.
All right. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Sones.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. All right. That's it on The Beam today. We'll be leaving you with our top 5 videos of the week. I'm Sones Nathaniel, and as always, we urge you to stay curious, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep beaming your light where it matters the most. May this nation continue to rise and flourish. Bye for now. This week, we begin our countdown with a clip in which Governor Sim Fubara visits President Bola Tinubu and asserts that peace has been fully restored in Rivers State.
So long as I'm concerned, we have made peace. My Fubara and his principal are working together. Thank you.
Coming forth on our list, we hear actor turned politician Kenneth Okonkwo state that there was no need for the emergency rule in Rivers State. He adds that Tinubu initiated the crisis.
Even after the Supreme Court judgment, still said the same thing. He will abide by every word, every decision of the Supreme Court. And he started immediately abiding by it. That is why I'm at a loss. Why the declaration of the state of emergency in the first place? Because there was no crisis in Rivers State.
In third place, former Governor Rashid Ladoja of Oyo State tells President Tinubu to create Ibadan State. He stated this after his installation as the 44th Olubadan. Coming second on our list, Senator Natasha speaks from her office after 6 months suspension from the National Assembly.
I'm glad to be here, and even though we have been illegally suspended, no day have I hesitated in effectively carrying out my duties as a senator of Kogi Central to the very best of my capacity.
And in first place this week, we have an interview in which former Minister of Aviation and Aerospace, Osita Chidoka, addresses issues regarding INEC leadership and the alleged plans to rig the 2027 elections.
There is nobody that is good enough for us to trust him with our lives and give him the discretion to determine our future. It is a collective responsibility.
That's it on our countdown today. Join us next week for more.